This aircraft stayed in the air for under 60 seconds. What followed became one of the deadliest aviation disasters of recent times. On June 12, 2025, Air India Flight AI-171 was scheduled to fly from Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport in Ahmedabad, and passengers, it was a routine long-haul flight, one of thousands that crisscross the globe every day, weaving the fabric of our modern connected world. The aircraft was a Boeing 7878 Dreamliner, registered VTANB, one of the most advanced passenger jets in the world. The Dreamliner represented a leap forward in aviation technology. Built with lightweight composite materials, it promised greater fuel efficiency and a smaller environmental footprint. For passengers, it offered a more comfortable experience, with larger windows, higher humidity, and a lower cabin altitude to reduce fatigue. It was the pinnacle of engineering: modern, reliable, trusted. Its safety record was exemplary, a testament to the millions of hours of design, testing, and operation. On the ground in Ahmedabad, everything appeared normal. The pre-flight preparations unfolded with practiced precision. The weather was perfect for flying: clear skies, calm winds. The ground crew went about their duties, fueling the aircraft, loading baggage, and conducting their final walk-around inspections. In the cockpit, the flight crew began their own meticulous rituals. The captain, a veteran with over 15,000 flying hours, and his first officer, a rising talent with a bright future, worked through their extensive pre-flight checklists. Every switch, every system, every instrument was checked and cross-checked. There were no warnings, no anomalies. The aircraft's maintenance logs showed it was in perfect working order, having recently completed a routine service check with no outstanding issues. Inside the cabin, the last of the 230 passengers were settling in. They were a cross-section of humanity: families embarking on a European holiday, students returning to universities abroad, business travelers chasing deals, and people just heading home. Each person carried with them a unique story, a destination, and a network of loved ones waiting for their arrival. As the cabin doors were closed and armed, a sense of quiet anticipation filled the air. For them, this was just another flight, an unremarkable interlude between departure and arrival. At 1:38 p.m. local time, Air India 171 pushed back from the gate. It was cleared for a full-length takeoff on runway 23. The two powerful Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 engines spooled to life with a deep, reassuring hum. The aircraft taxied towards the runway, its wingtips flexing gracefully. The flight attendants performed the safety demonstration, a familiar choreography of seatbelts and oxygen masks that most passengers barely noticed. At 1:38 p.m., cleared by air traffic control, the aircraft began its takeoff roll. The captain advanced the throttles, and the Dreamliner surged forward, pressing everyone back into their seats. The roar of the engines filled the air as the plane gathered speed, hurtling down the center line of the runway. V1. Rotate. The call-outs were standard textbook. The nose lifted towards the sky, and moments later, it lifted off. The landing gear retracted into the fuselage, a clean, aerodynamic transition from ground to air. At first, the climb looked normal. The aircraft ascended steadily, its flight path a perfect, graceful arc against the blue sky. Inside, the seatbelt sign remained on, but the initial intensity of takeoff gave way to the gentle sensation of ascent. But then, just 45 seconds into the flight, at an altitude of only 200 feet, it stopped. The powerful roar of the engines vanished, replaced by an unnerving silence. Both engines lost thrust, almost at the same time. A dual engine failure on takeoff is one of the most critical emergencies a pilot can face. It is an event so rare that it is considered almost statistically impossible. The aircraft, now a 180-ton glider, had immense momentum but no power to sustain its climb. At this altitude, low and slow, There was no margin for error, no time to troubleshoot, no room to maneuver. Less than 1 minute after takeoff, the aircraft began to descend. The pilots fought for control, their training kicking in, but the laws of physics were inescapable. The nose dropped as the plane's airspeed bled away. It never recovered. The descent was terrifyingly quick. The state-of-the-art Dreamliner, a symbol of modern aviation safety, fell from the sky. 241 lives were lost on board. The crew of 12 and all 229 passengers. The aircraft crashed into a densely populated neighborhood near the airport. 19 more on the ground were killed. In the midst of the devastation, a miracle. Only one person survived. A British citizen in seat 11A was found alive in the wreckage, miraculously shielded from the impact. The response was immediate. Emergency crews arrived within minutes, battling the inferno to search for survivors. The news sent shockwaves around the world. How could one of the most advanced and reliable airliners simply fall out of the sky? The aviation community was stunned. Airlines grounded their 787 fleets as a precaution. The public's faith in air travel was shaken. An international team of investigators, led by India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau and assisted by the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, converged on the scene. Their mission: to find out what went wrong. On June 13, 2025, the first, and on June 16, 2025, the second enhanced airborne flight recorders, each one performs the functions of both a flight data recorder and a cockpit voice recorder, were quickly recovered from the tail section, miraculously intact. They held the key to the mystery. As analysts decoded the data, a chilling picture emerged. The recorders confirmed the pilot's frantic struggle in the final seconds. But they also revealed something deeply unusual, something that defied all logic and training. The data showed that just before the loss of thrust, both fuel control switches were moved from the run position to cutoff. These switches act as the final valve, stopping the flow of fuel to the engines. Moving them to cutoff is the equivalent of turning off the ignition in a car. The engines hadn't failed mechanically, they had been starved of fuel. The question was no longer what happened, but why. Based on the findings from the enhanced airborne flight recorders, it was understood that 3 seconds after liftoff, the aircraft achieves the maximum recorded airspeed of 180 knots. The left engine's fuel control switch transitions from run to cutoff position. A second later, the right engine's fuel control switch also transitions from run to cutoff position. At this stage, the engine power began to decrease from their takeoff level as fuel supply has been turned off. 8 seconds after the takeoff, RAT is seen deployed and supplying hydraulic power to the aircraft. A RAT is an emergency wind-powered turbine used in emergencies. 13 seconds after takeoff, the left engine's fuel cutoff switch transitions from cutoff to run position. 15 seconds after takeoff, the air inlet door of auxiliary power unit, APU, begins opening. The APU is a small gas turbine engine that is located in the tail section of the plane. 17 seconds after takeoff, the right engine's fuel cutoff switch transitions from cutoff to run position. 26 seconds after takeoff, one of the pilot transmits an emergency distress call, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Air traffic controllers did not get any response back after that, and they noticed the plane crashing into buildings nearby airport. The crash occurred at the BJ Medical College Hostel, located approximately 1.6 kilometers from the end of the runway. The report states that debris was dispersed across roughly 37,000 square meters, and 5 structures in the area sustained significant impact and fire-related damage. Air India Flight 171 began like thousands of flights before it, a symbol of routine and reliability, but the journey would end in a way no one could have imagined. The investigation has so far identified a sequence of events that have caused a devastating outcome. However, the full investigation is still ongoing, and many critical questions remain as to why they happened remained unanswered for the families of the victims.